Hey guys, it is Christina here. I hope you are having an amazing day and you are kicking off Monday well. Can see some other people are starting their lives as well. So, Mondays are my busy day in regards to some of the things that I actually do. So I generally, this morning I didn't, but normally I wake up at around 6 and then I start my first live Zoom session at around 6:30, and then I might see a client, and then I will do a behind the scenes in my business coaching space, and then I will do naturopathic life and so on. And so it's a generally busy day for me, but I just couldn't, I want to share this with you. I have to share it with you. So I thought I would. So I, for myself, have been doing a lot of work on my mindset, working on it from an emotional point of view, working on it from a physical point of view, looking at the health things and the connections between health and, the things that we eat and the beliefs and the thoughts and all of the stuff. So if you've been watching any of my Divinely Nourished stuff, you know what I'm talking about. So I've been doing a lot of work on that point of view. I've also been doing a lot of work when it comes to money mindset and abundance, and actually being available to accept those things and receive those things as they come in, and what it is that I actually needed to do in order for that to happen. And so, of course, that's not something new to me. I've been doing that for my business probably for the last 2 years, off and on. Some more deep diving and sometimes less, just depending on what sort of season I'm in. And one of the things that I've been working around at the moment for me is to manifest is I really want a new van for my family. So the van that we've got at the moment was my dream van. And I was thinking about this the other day, that we actually currently have like a Toyota Hiace. And I remember back in my very early days of like being a mom, like, because I always knew that I wanted to have a big family. Once I'd met my husband and so on, I'd started to think, I want lots of kids. I want to like have a big family. And so like, I remember when we were pregnant with our first baby, there was this like pram in, this op shop that sat 4 babies. And I was like, oh my God, I want that pram. That pram is the pram that I want. I want to have 4 babies that can fit in that pram. And that would be amazing. But it was like kind of silly to kind of buy that pram for just 1 baby. So we clearly didn't buy that pram. But then when I did have 4 children under 4, I wished that I had brought that pram. But I remember thinking, our own upgrading along the way was, the Hiace was the big dream. It was the big dream of the van that I actually wanted for my family. I wanted a Hiace, and I got that Hiace with baby number 7, and we've filled it. We've still got a couple of seats there, so there was some room for some friends. But it was like that realization of something that I'd wanted for a really long time. Like I'd kind of coveted that Hiace van, because I was like, I just know where I'm going. So I just want to get to I just want the thing that I need for where I'm going. And that Hiace was that thing, because I knew that I wanted, enough children to fill those seats, and like this family trip and the ride and all of the things. And I wanted that Hiace van for a really long time. And before I got to the Hiace van, there was another van that we had, and then before that we had like a station wagon that had like a back seat in it, so that we could fit the kids in and so on. But it was always the dream to get to the Hiace van. And I was thinking about this the other day, because I'm in this space of like, I really want this new van that I'm looking at. And I want it for a number of reasons. One, it's comfortable. My kids are growing and it'll be a little bit more comfortable. 2, it has the ability to pull 3 tons. And so if you've been in this space for a while, you know that one of our dreams for this year, we were planning on traveling Australia. We were planning on getting in our van and traveling Australia and seeing what we could see, experiencing and enjoying what was available from this beautiful country, going to as many beaches as we possibly could, and connecting with nature and connecting with people and learning all sorts of amazing things. That was our goal for this year. And of course, COVID happened, and so we didn't actually manage to make that goal appear. But part of that goal was we were compromising, in the sense that we were just going to go with the things that we had so that we could actually go, as opposed to going with some of the things that we really wanted. to be able to go with. And one of the things that we really wanted to go with was this like expander caravan, which had enough beds for everyone. Like we would have to still make up like the dining room as a bed at night, but it meant that everybody got a bed. Nobody had to sleep out in the swags if they didn't want to, and we still had the ability to take the swags if we wanted to, and if people wanted to sleep out there they totally could, but it meant that we could all be contained inside of the van. And in order to buy that van, you know, we would need some money goals, but also in order to be able to buy that van we'd need something to pull it with. And of course, having a large family, it's not that easy to find a van that fits 9 people that also has the towing capacity of around 3 tons. But I found one. I managed to find one, and the story of that was kind of hilarious because my husband is a little bit obtuse when it comes to some of these things. And we were at Superbarn Auto, and I can't even remember what we were there for. Maybe I think we were getting a battery. Yeah, because our battery in our van had died. So we were getting a new battery put in. And while we were sitting there, this lady pulled up to like this Babyland that was next to it. And she had a master bus. I think it was a Renault master bus. And it just looked awesome. Like it looked like it had a big enough capacity that, you know, I could set up the boot as a bit of a work environment. And, you know, plenty of room for kids, all of that type of stuff. And I was like, that looks like the thing that I want. Ooh. And so I sent my husband over, like, just kind of go and figure out what it is so that we can look it up and see if it actually matches our needs or the things that we actually want and how much it is and all of that type of stuff. So Ben, being obtuse, didn't realize that there were actually kids inside of this van, and he's this strange man walking up and circling the van because he's trying to check it out. Like he didn't realize that the kids were in there. So he's just trying to check out the van and see, you know, what does it like? What does it look like? Does it look big enough? So clearly my husband looked like a creepy man looking inside this van where these kids were still in. Like the person who was driving it clearly had left the kids inside where she'd run into Babyland. And anyway, it was one of those moments I was like, if you don't know what he's doing, it could look absolutely creepy and a little bit frightening to somebody on the outside. But I of course knew what he was doing. Thankfully the lady didn't come out and go, oh my God, get away from my car. But we figured out what the van was, and we went and Googled it and looked online and went, oh my God, actually the older ones actually tow 3 ton, and that would fit what we actually want. And so as we're going through this process of starting to look at different vans and different options, like there's a Mercedes one as well, there's, you know, a couple of other ones, and looking at what would actually be available and what would actually do the thing that we wanted it to do, you know, we started to see costings and started to see pricing. And so in my mind, in order to create the thing or to call in or manifest the thing, I need to align myself to it. And we are always manifesting. We're either calling in things that we want or we don't want. We're manifesting either by pulling in things that we want or pulling in things that we don't actually want. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why we do that. And it can be because of our beliefs, and it can be because of our growing, our raising, like how we were brought up. And the things that happened to us, the things that we were said, like, you know, if you've got a parent that maybe said it has to be hard, you might find ways for it to be hard, but I'll explain that a little bit more as well. And so there's all these things that go into helping us to manifest and create the things that we want. This is a little bit crooked and it's annoying me. I thought it would be fine, but no. Oh, now it's worse. I think it's as good as I'm going to get. I will just have to put up with it. And so anyway, as I'm calling in this van, and as I'm wanting to manifest this van in my life, the things that I'm working through are the blocks that I have. And one of the blocks that has come up for me was that we don't look after cars. We don't look after vehicles. We don't look after cars. That was a story that I had. And, you know, that story has got some evidence around it because, you know, if you go to look at my car right now, it's pretty messy. And things are not organized, and I would like them to be organized, but they're not. And so I had this belief that we don't look after cars. And one of those things, like as I keep digging through the layers of what that story is, one of those things that came up was that our van has had an oil leak for like 4 years. We have been getting this regularly serviced. We've been taking it into a mechanic to regularly service. And he's been doing deep services and shallow ones, like whatever, you know, they have like different levels. So we've been getting those done regularly. And this one time, or actually twice, they've talked about this oil leak. I'm like, okay, tell us what to do so we can fix it. And they're like, no, it'll be fine. We'll look at it next time. Okay, we trust you. You're the mechanic. You know what you're doing. And so the previous time, so the end of last year we went, and he said, you're going to need to get under there and scrub off all the oil and all of that type of stuff so that we can see where the leak is coming from, because we can't see it. And they told us this whole story that they couldn't lift up our van and actually look underneath it, and they couldn't do any of that type of stuff for us, that we would have to get under our van with, you know, degreaser and all the things and actually clean it out ourselves. And I'm like, what do we pay you for? Anyway, we decided to try out somebody new, because I was like, I can't comprehend how that's going to happen, that we're going to get under this van and actually like clean out all this oil from this engine. I can't comprehend how that's going to happen. And why does he not have a lift? Like, he's a mechanic. Clearly, surely he would have a lift to lift it up and do that. Anyway, we've been delaying on getting the next service done, because I wanted to have that done for me. Like, I wanted to have that done for me, because it just feels like so big, so hard, so challenging that I couldn't do it. And we have a little mechanic that's not far from our house. Actually, it's about a 5-10 minute walk. And I've been driving past that mechanic for, 5 years. Millions of times I've driven past that mechanic. But I never went in, and for a whole bunch of reasons, some of which was, some prejudice about the area. I've not heard anybody tell me that this guy was great. I just didn't go in because I thought the things that I thought. And interestingly enough, I'd been driving past and I saw that they did high aces. I saw that he had high aces in his thing, and I still just brushed it off. And it wasn't until like the last couple of days that I went, oh my goodness, hello. So anyway, we took the plunge, because I'm like, our van needs, like, it needs to be fixed. There was some water leakage that was happening, and I'm like, no, I don't want to drive the van until it's fixed. So Ben walked to this guy, and he actually had a conversation with him and asked, do you do that sort of stuff? And he said, yes, no worries. And he booked us in. So we booked in our van, we did the service, and we got this guy to do it. And oh my God, he was amazing. Like, he went beyond and above what we had been experienced before. So he got his apprentice to go in and actually clean our whole engine out. He didn't fix the problem, but he cleaned it so that he could have a go at seeing what the problem might be. And they washed the van, they did the service, they did all the things that needed to happen. And it was easy, because I didn't have to drive somewhere and get, transport back, because we could just walk. And it was easy. And then he said, you've got this oil leak. And I'm like, yeah, our old mechanic wouldn't fix it. And he's like, oh, it's not a big deal. We can book it in. And I'm like, great. When can we book it in? And he booked us in there and then to get that oil leak fixed. He then fixed the oil leak, and he even gave me some discounts. And, it was just an amazing service. This guy worked above and beyond our expectations, and he lived at the end of our street. And it was this moment of me realizing that I had been the one that had made this hard. I had, taken advice from somebody who lived in a different area than we did. And, we went to their mechanic because I didn't want to be fooled. I didn't want to get ripped off with the mechanic. You know what? I didn't want to get ripped off. So I was ripped off by this mechanic. So, I would drive to this place, which was half an hour away. I would then have to catch a bus home or get a taxi home, and then I would have to come back and pick up the car, and it would be like this big, it would take up a whole day in the sense of like the amount of time that was given up to drive the car there and come and pick the car back up at the end of the day. And the actual answer to my problem was at the end of my street. The actual answer was there. But I had this internal belief that cars are hard. Like, cars are hard, getting them fixed is hard, everybody wants to rip you off, and it's hard. And because I had this internal belief that it was hard, I didn't see and I didn't take the option that was easy. I didn't see that that was even available for us for at least 1.5 years. And then for another 3.5 years, I would drive past it going, no, it can't be that easy. There must be something wrong with it. because of this internal belief that I'd had about cars are hard, they're scary, I don't know how they work, I don't know what to do with them. You know, my dad took care of that stuff for me. Like when my dad was alive, you know, he would tell me what was wrong with the car. I might then take it to a mechanic, and then the mechanic would fix the thing that was wrong because I knew what was wrong, and I could say, here's what's wrong, and I knew I wasn't getting ripped off. But my dad isn't alive anymore, and he hasn't been for quite some time now. And I had been having this fear around cars, fear around that it's going to break down, that I don't know what to do with it because I don't know cars, all of that type of stuff. And because of that, I'd been looking at the hardest solution to my problem. I found the hardest way to solve my problem, and it didn't even solve my problem. It didn't even give me a car that was fixed and functioning. This guy at the end of my street, I took my car there. He worked until like 7 p.m. to get this thing fixed so that we could have it back the same day. Like he had it from like 8 till 7, getting it all done and sorted. And now my car drives up the outlet without overheating, which it has done for 4 years. And now it doesn't do it because he fixed it. He fixed the problem. And he wasn't outrageously expensive. He was a lovely man who just did a lovely job for us. And I had been missing the solution to my problem because it was at the end of my street and I had to make it hard. And so many times in our lives, we make things harder than they actually have to be. We make it so much harder than we have to make it. Like for me, when I give out my clients hair tests and we get back the foods that they can't have, they think it has to be hard. And so they look at all the things that they can't have instead of like all the amazing things that they can have. And they really struggle to see how they can eat when they're missing some of the items that they're used to having. When actually there's a ton of food that's there. There is some amazing recipes that they could be making. There are some amazing things that they could be making. But because of the belief that it has to be hard, they make it harder. Just like I made it harder with the car. Like I could have been having a functioning vehicle for the last 5 years, working really well, not having the stress and the worry that it was going to break down, just being able to drive and enjoy my car. But I didn't because I made it hard. And so I want to prompt you and ask you, like, what in your life are you making hard? What are in your life, have you got a belief that it has to be hard so you're making it hard? Is this like, I can't share this without sharing what my husband does with trolleys. So Ben has somewhat of a belief that things have to be hard. And particularly one of the areas that I have noticed that in is that when we return a supermarket shopping trolley, so we can be parked right next to a supermarket shopping trolley bay, and he's going to return the trolley and he can't see the one that's right next to him. He can see the one that is the furthest away, and he finds that and he goes for that. And you know, it might be good because he gets more exercise, but he doesn't see that he's standing right next to a supermarket trolley bay where it is like a 2-second job. Instead, he makes it like a 5-10 minute job. The hardest way possible. So what in your life are you not seeing the simple solutions for? What are you not seeing where you could be having and enjoying some amazing things in your life, but you're not seeing it because it's a simple solution. It's easy. And you've got this belief that it has to be hard. Rachel saying, I love this story. Yes, sometimes we tell ourselves stories that just aren't the reality, what reality is or would be. Absolutely. And this was me saying that cars are hard. And so I made it hard by not going to the guy that was down the road. He's been there the whole time. It's not like he wasn't there. He was absolutely there the whole time. But I'd been calling in hard. Cars are hard. So I'd been calling in hard. And I found like the hardest thing, you know, the hardest place to go, where it was the level of difficulty was absolutely there, that it was going to be a mission to get the car sorted. And, you know, I didn't want to do it any more than I had to because like it was much harder than it needed to be. But the solution was at the end of my road. And when I started to shift and started to change my beliefs around cars, because I'm changing that belief so that I can call in and manifest the car that I actually want now, the upgrade that we want to take, started to shift and see how it could be much easier than it actually already is. Rachel saying, haha, is that a male thing? Like they can't find the thing that's right in front of them. Well, sometimes, but also it's an everybody thing. If you say you can't see something, you won't see it. If you say it is hard, then you'll only see the hard solutions. If you say it's easy, and if you really actually change your mind on it, not just go, oh yeah, it's easy, so I'm just going to say it's easy and then it'll be easy. No, you actually have to change your mind on it because your mind has been made up that this is hard. So you have to change your mind on it. When you change your mind, you'll see the solutions. You'll see the answers. And I see this time and time again when I'm business coaching some of my clients, especially with their, healing therapies, because they believe it has to be hard, that it's not acceptable because now we're the alternative medicine instead of like the traditional medicine. And so they've got stories about how it has to be hard. So they'll call in people who can't do the jobs for them that they need to get done, or are going to be more expensive, or going to be more challenging to work with, as opposed to the easy solutions, the easy people, the people who will get the job done and actually honor the time and the energy and all of that type of stuff. Like we call in the things that we believe to be true. So if we start to change our mind on these things, we can actually change the outcome as well. And so I wanted to share this little story with you. I hope it resonates, and I would love for you to give me some feedback. Like if you found this helpful and you started to find some things that you're making harder than they need to be, share them with me. I'd love to hear your stories. All right, that's it for me today. I hope you have an amazing day. Decide that it gets to be easy. Bye for now. See you next time.